Hi guys, welcome to a new episode. Today I'm going to review a very special knife. It is called the Zeppelin and it's made by probably the most famous French maker here in France. His name is Robert Beillonnet. So Robert is a very experienced maker. He's one of the few makers I know that has always been a knife maker actually. He's specialized in making French regional or traditional knives, like for example the la gueule, that you probably all know, but he really has his own style, even though the knives he makes are traditional. Because of his experience and because of the number of knives he makes, he works very quickly and with great precision. It is actually very impressive to see him work, because he can work while he's talking to you. It's really something natural for him. Yeah, really amazing. He's also one of the guys here in France that makes a lot of prototypes for the knife industry. Because of his knowledge, people really trust him, and yeah, they really trust him when it comes to developing a knife. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that he is one of the 3 French makers to have been twice Meilleur ouvrier de France. Meilleur ouvrier de France can be translated as best worker in France. I already talked about it in previous videos, but it's a reward for a contest that is very prestigious here in France. By the way, I really wanted to mention that Robert is a really nice guy, and he's also one of the best cook I know. I think he spends as much time cooking as he does making knives actually, so yeah. Of course, he loves to share a good meal with his collectors. Believe me, if you go and visit him, you better be prepared, because you're gonna eat, and eat. Man, your stomach is gonna literally collapse. This guy loves to eat and makes really nice things, so yeah. So, this knife is called the Zeppelin, and it seems pretty obvious why. Just a bit of history before we start the review of this knife. So the Zeppelin is a type of airship developed by a German called Mr. Zeppelin. I'm sorry, I forgot his first name. So yeah, Mr. Zeppelin. These airships were mainly used during the First World War, mainly for military purposes and also for public transportation. I personally find very curious that these airships had that much success when you consider they were kind of flying bombs. They were completely filled up with hydrogen, which is lighter than air. I mean, I think you know how a Zeppelin works. But yeah, filled up with hydrogen. The problem is that hydrogen is a very highly explosive gas. So yeah, they didn't use helium. Helium is actually much more secure than hydrogen, but it was too complicated or too expensive to use helium in such huge quantities. So yeah, they went for hydrogen. So basically one spark, Zeppelin dead. So that resulted in countless accidents, like natural accidents, and also many Zeppelins were shot. Now don't worry, we are coming to the history of this particular knife. So on October 1917, 11 German Zeppelins were going in direction of England for a raid. But due to bad weather, one of them, called the L-49, is the name of the airship, one of them had to fly above France and was forced by the French army to land near Nogent. So Nogent is also a very famous place in France, famous for making knives. Of course, the inhabitants in the area all came to see the amazing airship. It was indeed quite rare to see one in perfect state, as they were usually shot, and when they are shot, there is hardly anything left of them. So that's when a guy called Louis Garnier, who was a knife maker at that time, he came to draw this amazing airship and decided to make several knives that had the shape of the Zeppelin to celebrate that French victory. Now I really would like to stress out that he didn't invent this type of construction for the knife, that you can see is very unique. It's actually inspired from an English knife, or a style of English knives, I'd rather say, made in the 19th century. And here is an exceptional example. These were, this particular one at least, was a quill sharpener. The idea was to use the blades one by one and use them all before bringing them to be all sharpened. Okay, enough rambling, let's now have a look at the knife. Let's start with the handle material. It is actually elephant ivory. Of course, you immediately see this very unique construction that we already talked about, inspired from the English knives. Honestly, other than the Zeppelin and these English knives, I've never seen anybody use this construction. I guess probably because it's, special, but also very hard, very technical to make. So on one side of the knife, you have 4 little blades. So that's one. And they all have different shapes. Another one there. It's actually referring to the quill sharpener with all different blade shapes. Ooh, doesn't cut myself. I guess to sharpen different parts of the quill, or maybe to use different sharpening techniques, I don't know. And that's the more classic blade shape, I'd say. Yeah. So on the one side, you have all 4 little blades. And on the other side, we've got 4 other accessories. So the main blade, which is still a small blade, but yeah, the biggest blade on this knife. You've got the signature RB for Robert Beillonnet. There you've got 3 little X letters. So yeah, main blade there with a little swedge on top. A lot of attention to details. Even these little blades there have swedges. This one has a swedge there. This one too. You can even open all the blades at the same time. Whoop, 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 whoop. Sorry, not very easy to do behind the camera. All 4 blades there. So main blade. These are the scissors. Very nicely done, and everything, I would like to stress out, is made entirely by hand by Robert. Again, as I said, this guy knows an awful lot of techniques, and yeah, he can make these little scissors. He actually told me that one of the most complicated things to make in the scissors is this tiny little spring there. Quite a pain in the neck to make. Don't ask me why, I don't know why. It looks simple, but apparently it's very complicated. So yeah, little pair of scissors, very useful. It's actually the kind of thing I use the most on these kind of multi-blade knives. Then we've got a kind of hook there that you usually find on all the Swiss knives, but nobody really knows what it's made for. Now, I always wondered what was the use, and I've heard quite a few theories out there. I actually asked Robert what he thinks about it, because he actually made the tool, so I guess he has his own theory, and it sounds pretty right. It would have been used to loosen the laces of your shoes or boots when they are very tight, by helping you to grab the laces, basically. He also thinks it was very useful to untight ladies' corsets. They indeed used to be really tight and hard to get off. So yeah, that way you could grab the lace, pull it, and untight the corset, which could be very useful at the time. Because yeah, if you take 2 hours to take the corset off, yeah, it would be a bit not very practical. Anyway, then we've got a nail file right there. Again, completely handmade. Nail file there. This is basically for to clean your nails or to push the skin. Yeah, very, very practical tool. Let's open everything out. So, when everything is open, that's how it looks like. Crazy cool. I mean, when everything is open, you really see all the different pieces that are involved in that knife. 4 blades there that you have to make individually with strategies and everything. Heat treatment, finishing. There you've got another blade. This file there, that part. This little knife, which by itself is like 1, 2, 3, like 4 pieces. Then you've got to make all the springs for these things because, of course, it's a slip joint style knife. So you have 4 springs, and then you've got these liners. So you've got actually 4 kind of folded liners. Then you've got the scales, of course. Then you've got these nice little screws that all have some knurling on. I'm not quite sure what they are screwed to. I was very, very tempted to unscrew them and to take apart this knife, but I just asked Robert what he thinks about that. And he strongly recommended not to do that because it's very complicated to put all back together, and yeah, I trust him. I'm not gonna do that by any means. But yeah, would be very curious to see all the different parts and how it's inside, how it's made. Anyway, I'll probably be able to get some pictures of the work in progress. I'll ask him, and if I manage to have some, I'll put them on my Instagram. So yeah, very interesting also the way there. Will you be able to see that? Let's close a blade. Of course, as there is only 1 spring for 2 tools, you've got to find a way to have enough space for both of them to get in there. So we've got to take a lot of material off on this blade, and on the other side on the other blade, just so that they don't touch each other. Very clever. That is also the reason why the blades and the tools are very fine. So of course not for hard tasks, but I mean, is it really is it really a knife that is made to be used? I don't think so. It's more a demonstration piece, I would say. So yeah, just wanted to show you how it's made. You also have this little part in the spring that really prevents blades to touch themselves. Very clever, very well done. It comes with a very nice stand, which, I mean, you have a huge piece of ivory there, and of course you can put it like that. Just looks very cool. Makes a beautiful objet d'art, I would say, like a kind of sculpture. Very nice to decorate your desk, for example. It could even also be useful on your desk. I love the way he did the stand. It really gives you the impression, the feeling that the Zeppelin is flying, and this part is like it was the shadow of the Zeppelin that is flying. You know, I've got a lot of imagination, but yeah, that's how I see it. And MDT, these are just my initials. So yeah, that's it for the knife, the stand. It also comes with a very nice sheath like that. Everything there is made by Robert himself. but the sheath is not made by him. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the maker for the sheath. But yeah, very unique sheath for this knife. Honestly, I'm never gonna carry this knife in my pocket, but yeah, I just think it's kind of cool to have the sheath to go with it. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.